What is going on, Bears fans? The Chicago Bears are a team in trouble. We don't have any other way to describe what's going on right now. And really, what we're looking at right now is, are the Chicago Bears stars getting frustrated with Matt Eberflus? Now, on the surface, last season, we know what happened. We ended up 7-10, but Matt Eberflus never lost the team. Sure, there was frustration. Sure, there were people who we just were not performing up to the level that most fans were expecting, and even the team were expecting. However, what we had at that point was a little cohesiveness, and that seems to be unraveling. And the coaches are now being openly questioned by the players. The frustration is mounting on their faces. You can see it in their demeanor. Whatever this coaching staff is doing is not working for these players. And look, do these players know how to win? Do they know how to play? They know how to play the game. It's the coach's job to find ways to use the players to the best advantage so that they win games. And this Bears staff is not doing it. So we're at 1-2 right now. We are early in the season. Could this end up being a playoff season? Sure. There's always that possibility, especially when you consider as this division goes, we probably have a pretty good shot if we can get it together, get it wrapped up. And remember, this team at the beginning of the season was not the team that we saw at the end of the season last season. So I said season an awful lot there, didn't I? Oof. Anyway, so the point is, there are some changes that are going to have to be made immediately for this team to have any sort of success going forward. Losing to a winless Indianapolis team that's probably better than 0-2 at that point is a non-starter. Losing to the Houston Texans, you can take that and you can say, look, we just didn't play up to snuff. But when you lose to a winless team, even early in the season, winless team, then you are setting a precedent that this team is not nearly as good as what you would have thought or what it should be. And it should be no secret at this point that this team is already underachieving, grossly underachieving. Caleb Williams threw for 363 yards, had 2 touchdowns, and the Bears only scored 16 points. So it should at least be recognized here that we have a problem. We have a big problem with this team. They're not scoring enough. And the only common glue to this entire thread is Matt Eberflus. Matt Eberflus continues to underwhelm. In fact, an NFL executive came out publicly against Matt Eberflus and called him the problem. We're going to talk about all that and more. If you like this type of content, make sure that you hit the like button on the way in. We're going to break this down as best we can. This is Caleb Williams sitting there. And look, does this look like a man who's inspired? Does this look like confidence in your rookie quarterback, in your number 1 overall draft pick? Does this look like, let's say, does this look like Ryan Poles absolutely nailed it? Because to me, it does not. It looks like, in fact, we have a problem. The Chicago Bears are leaving this team shocked and not performing at a high level like we would have expected them to be to them. We expected them to be. Caleb Williams, eyes closed, frustrated. We saw what happened with CJ Stroud. Caleb Williams not feeling it, understanding there are problems here that extend far beyond his ability to play the game. The guy had 363 yards. Is that great? Sure. But the first 2 games, not that great. Where does that come from? How do you not score touchdowns? How can you not understand what to do? It's going to get better. It's going to get better because there's way more to this than just what we're talking about right here. There's way more to it. So let's take a little bit of this and let's talk about early offensive struggles. The Bears players are starting to get frustrated, and this is what it looks like. DJ Moore just staring off. DJ Moore missing routes. DJ Moore and Caleb Williams not being in sync. Roma Dunze and Caleb Williams being in sync, they put in a lot of work to be in sync. The Bears players, how does the entire offensive line fall down on a 4th and 1 play? And how do we run a sweep on a 4th and 1? That is just nonsense. It's ridiculous. Okay. This is absolutely bonkers. The entire line is laying down. Okay. These are the play calls. This is what's happening for this team right now. This is embarrassing. So, what do? We stare at Caleb Williams, still frustrated, still having problems. And one of the answers here is we're going to talk about this real quick. First of all, um, going back a week, the offense looked disconnected. And there was an article that was put up talking about DJ Moore and Caleb Williams expressing their frustrations. And DJ Moore famously came out and said, "Look, I probably shouldn't have shown my frustrations in this originally. It's probably inappropriate of me to do it, but there's really much ado about nothing when it comes to this overall. Like I really didn't mean what happened there, but I was frustrated." Caleb Williams said, "You know what? This is my fault. I'm not getting him the ball. We try to get him the ball. If I threw it a little bit better, then maybe, we make a few more plays and stuff like that." There is some responsibility to go around for all of this. It is not just it is not just Caleb Williams. It's not just the coaching staff. There's goods that you can take away. And by the way, if you were to go back and watch Kurt Warner likes what he sees from Caleb Williams. Chase Daniel likes what he sees from Caleb Williams. All the people who are analysts, they like what they see from Caleb Williams. What they don't like is what they see from the coaching staff and how the coaching staff is dealing with it. How they're dealing with their $8 million man that they put at running back who can't run the ball, who has, I want to say, at this point, 60 yards rushing on 30 something carries. Like I think the number is staggeringly bad. While at the same time, they took the effort and put in the work to make sure that the guy who was performing, and that guy was Roshan Johnson last year, that he wasn't even playing a game. It boggles the mind what some of these decisions have been so far. Now, statistically, here's what we have. We have DeAndre Swift at this point has 37 rushes for 68 yards, averaging 1.8 yards, and has one long run of 20 yards. If you take that out, that's 36 carries for 48 yards, which means that he can't run the ball. I mean, at all. Listen, I'm not bragging, but I think I could do better. I mean, I can hit a hole in between the line and I can gain a couple of yards consistently. By the way, Roshan Johnson did exactly that. In fact, everybody but DeAndre Swift is averaging over 2 yards. And by the way, we're not looking for 2 yards. We're looking for 4 to 5 yards per rush. That's what we're looking for ultimately. Velus Jones Jr. has a better average than DeAndre Swift at this point. So there's some work to be done here and some decisions that are being made that really have to be better. So we had early offensive struggles. Then what we had Coleman Shelton. Um, and Coleman Shelton came out after this game. Okay. Left guard Tevin Jenkins last week kind of hinted at some coaching issues last week with their embarrassing performance. Now, Coleman Shelton, by the way, Coleman Shelton has not been good this year. But he was asked about the disastrous 4th-and-goal call that saw a speed option to DeAndre Swift that was stopped for a 12-yard loss. By the way, a speed option on 4th-and-1. Who does that? Who doesn't just put the ball in the hands of your bullish running back and run it up the middle and just see what happens? Who does that? I mean, other than Shane Waldron, I guess. And Coleman Shelton says when he was asked about this on 4th-and-1, he says, "Well, I mean, speed option on, Obviously, that wasn't the greatest look to run that. So he basically said that this is ridiculous. That this is a bad call. Why are we making bad calls like this? He's recognizing it himself, and he's the center trying to he's the center in the middle of this offensive line trying to make something happen, and they're not giving him any of the necessary things that he needs in order to be successful. The Bears brought Shane Waldron in with a belief that he could elevate Caleb Williams and succeed where Luke Getsy had clearly failed Justin Fields. But the Bears had an identity at that point, even if it wasn't the right identity. And right now, we have no idea. Um, we have no idea what's going on here. What we saw, let me tell you what we saw. And I don't know if you're going to agree with me or not. Here's what I saw. I saw DeAndre Swift not being able to run the ball, but getting the majority of carries so far this season. I saw Roshan Johnson not being used, and when he was used, rushing for over twice as many yards, pushing the ball up the middle, doing what the Bears were good at last year, allowing them to continue to be good at that. And we're not doing enough of it. You have to use the run to set up the pass. If people don't respect it, then what do? They drop into coverage. If you can send four and still get to the quarterback, then you can make it very difficult on the passing game. This has been very, very complicated. And you do that because you can't run the ball. So Shane Waldron continues to not run the ball. Look, it is my opinion at this point that it is time to bench DeAndre Swift for the moment. Let him know, listen, it's not working out right now. We're going to have to do something different. But until we can do something different, we're putting the ball in the hands of Khalil Herbert and Roshan Johnson. We need to run up the middle. We know you're not equipped for that. We will work on our sweep game. We will work on our outside rushing game. But for the moment right now, we need to run it up the middle. We need to run it up the gut. That is the simplest change that would be to the best advantage of the Chicago Bears at this point, because those are the guys that we know get the job done. Now, will we do that? I don't know. I'm going to be certainly interested in seeing that, because not only did that happen, but we also had this one happen. By the way, this is the lineup over here, but I want to talk about Matt Eberflus for just a second here. One NFL executive has now come out. This isn't the same. The media gets excited. And this is what an unnamed NFL executive told to Mike Sando of The Athletic. He says, the media gets excited, the personnel, the people get excited, and people expect that guy to come in and just tear it up. They did a good job putting people around him. I do not think the offensive line is very good, and that is the number one issue. But in a division featuring Matt LaFleur, O'Connell, and the Lions' Ben Johnson at the offensive play calling controls, the Bears are obviously the outlier. The Bears' problem, in my opinion, this really kind of refers to Shane Waldron, it starts with the offensive line and the construction of it. Then it's Waldron, especially when you look at the other coordinators in the division. He is clearly fourth out of four. And the head coach right now is fourth out of four. The quarterback is surviving on his own. So an NFL executive is openly saying that, Matt Eberflus is the worst coach in the NFC North, that Shane Waldron is the worst offensive coordinator in the NFC North, and that they are prohibiting Caleb Williams from thriving. That Matt Eberflus, that was ensuring he could put an environment around incoming quarterback Caleb Williams that would help the rookie thrive. Instead, it has been the exact opposite. The Bears are 30th in rushing and have allowed 13 sacks through 3 games. They've also dropped 2 passes that would have been touchdown. This is the same sloppy operation that the Bears saw last year, despite replacing offensive coordinators. And it should be noted here, yes, there's been some drops. Some of those drops have been rookie Roma Dunze. And look, Keenan Allen dropped a surefire touchdown pass. These are atypical things. And these are pros that are being paid millions of dollars. They need to make those plays, but they need to be prepared to make those plays too. Many people weren't happy when all of this started happening. Some people were excited because we just got rid of Luke Getsy. There's a lot of things that are happening right here, a lot of moving parts in this dynamic. And look, it is just not working out. Matt Eberflus is I don't think at this point, short of what I told you before, 6 wins in a row, we need 6 wins in a row right now from this team for Matt Eberflus, or for people to even say, you know what, maybe we're wrong about Matt Eberflus. He needs to really, for lack of better description, get his shit together, because what he's putting on the field, the product that he's putting on the field right now is not working. And the fact that he recognized that Nate Davis is not working was actually a good start. The fact that he made a move and went to Matt Pryor before Braxton Jones went down for a couple plays and he had to move Matt Pryor to the outside. That was a good sign that they're at least considering some changes. Now let's look at the lineup, because this is what it looks like right now. This is the lineup that we currently have. Okay. And the moves have been made. Coleman Shelton is out here. Matt Pryor is out here. And what changes do we have here? Ryan Bates is still not going to be back for a few weeks. Keenan Allen, we still have him in the starting lineup, but he's going to be, I don't know, he's day to day at this point. Like, he hasn't been put on the IR. So this is what it looks like. Nate Davis on the outs. Ryan Bates, we're still waiting for him to come in. But look, here's the thing. Is Ryan Bates going to be better than Coleman Shelton and Matt Pryor? I think that he'll be better maybe than Coleman Shelton. He was the guy that was penciled in for that center position to begin with. And by the way, let me also state this, because I want to be clear. Coleman Shelton won a Super Bowl as a starting center. Okay. He is not incapable of doing the job. There is a problem with the play calling. There is a problem with what's happening here. You know what I mean? There's a difficult situation here. And look, it's got to be noted that at some point, remember we talked about this before. We lost our offensive coordinator, or Matt Eberflus was going to be involved in play calling in some way. So the one constant and the one consistent thing that we've had here is Matt Eberflus can't call offensive plays anymore. Like, if he is involved in this, then he is costing his team and his job in whatever it is that he is trying to prove. Now, look, let's also say that this could be an outlier. There could be a moment in time here where there's an epiphany, where somebody recognizes, hey, this is not working. And look, you have to ask yourself the question, if you're Matt Eberflus, do I want to win, or do I want to make sure that I'm doing it my way so that I've got my stamp on it? Now, if the question is that question, and your answer is, oh, no, I want to do it my way, then you're not qualified to be a head coach in the NFL. So let's take this one step further, because in the meantime, something else came up. And what came up is there are already, Bears goggles on came out with the article yesterday, 3 early replacement options if the Bears fire Matt Eberflus. That's where we are right now, 3 games into the 2024 season, and the Chicago Bears fans are already ready for heads to roll. This is not the team that we signed up for, or has not been so far. Rookie quarterback Caleb Williams has been hampered by offensive coordinator Shane Waldron and poor offensive line play. The team itself seems to be unprepared, which is an indictment on head coach Matt Eberflus. What did we talk about last season? I said that the Bears were unprepared. What did I said? I felt that the Bears would be better prepared going into this season. Are we? Nope. Somehow we've managed. And by the way, statistically, we are better. Okay. Statistically, we are better when it comes to wins and losses. But do you see the offense excelling in any way? Do you see reason to be hopeful? You might see it in Caleb Williams. Look, you don't want to throw 52 times in a game, but he completed 64% of his passes, 363 yards. One of his interceptions was actually another drop by Roma Dunze. The other one, bad play. But I would take 2 touchdowns and 1 interception and a 34 and 52. I would take all of those statistics. Now, red zone offense, still struggling. What was the struggle last year? Red zone offense. What's the struggle this year? Red zone offense. What's the common denominator? Matt Eberflus. So at this point, we got to start looking ahead. So they're looking at 3 people to replace Matt Eberflus, and they are already on the block here with Ben Johnson, Detroit Lions offensive coordinator. Clay Kubiak, son of Gary, passing game coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers, and then Clint Kubiak, the New Orleans Saints offensive coordinator. The Kubiak family, obviously deep into the offense of this league. So, guys, it is bad right now. We are feeling this, and this lineup is not looking as strong as we were hoping for, or at least as long as I was hoping for. And I told you guys 13-4 was going to be my season. I don't see that even possible anymore. 11-6, sure, if we continue on. But I'm going to say that we're probably looking now at a 9-8 season at best if Matt Eberflus continues to do what Matt Eberflus does, which is prepare his team to underperform. There is something about Matt Eberflus that is not working for the Chicago Bears, and it is time to at least look at Ryan Poles and ask him, what are you going to do about it? Because ultimately, Ryan Poles, this is your team. This is the team that you created. This is the coach that you trusted. This is the coach that you allowed to make that Shane Waldron move. This is the team that you designed, and these coaches are on your team. Kevin Warren, the ball's in your court when it comes to Ryan Poles. Something is going to have to give. And look, Austin Booker, it's probably a little bit early for him. Karan Emagaji, a little early for him. Tory Taylor has, in fact, booted one off of the side of his foot so far. He'll get better, but when we start to look at these draft picks, we start to look at all of these pieces coming into play and coming into place happening right now. So it is time for the Bears to get it together. We got a game coming up in a couple days, taking on the Rams, and the Rams came through, beat up the San Francisco 49ers, suddenly look like a good team after being the worst defensive team in the league. Um, Playing the Chicago Bears apparently makes you a lot better. So it's going to be a frustrating and difficult time. So, guys, pray for Matt Eberflus if you want to. 13-4, probably off the table at this point. Um, if we would have gone 2-1, I would have said it's back on. But at this point, we're gonna have to figure out something, because what you are currently doing, Matt Eberflus, Shane Waldron, is not only not working, it is downright embarrassing for a city that put all of its faith and hope behind you guys to do what you were supposed to do, and that was to lead a team of young players into the playoffs in your first with your opportunity to give Caleb Williams the tools that he needed in order to be successful. You've accomplished nothing so far. So I guess the question at this point is, what are you guys going to do? With that, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and hopefully we'll see a change. I don't know yet that we're going to see it. I know there's a lot of discussion. And by the way, I do want to point out something I'm encouraged by. First of all, we already discussed Nate Davis being benched in favor of Matt Pryor. That was encouraging because they are recognizing that that is a problem. They can't do anything with the offensive line, I think, more than that at this point, other than to bench Coleman Shelton for Doug Kramer. But I don't think that Coleman Shelton is as much of a problem as the play calling has been. And then Ryan Bates will be returning in a couple of games. So I think that they're kind of waiting that out for that move. Kiran looking a lot better in practice. The defensive players are saying that the guy is big. He's a nasty blocker. So that is also a very good sign as well. But really, Braxton Jones and Darnell Wright have not been as much of a problem. I go back and I've watched the tape multiple times now, and I watched every offensive play, and the tackles are not the problem. The center of the line has been the problem. There's been a lot of different opportunities for Caleb to step up into the pocket and deliver throws and to make plays. So does that mean that they're really good? No, there's still cracks in it, but it's not the tackle. So Karan, if Karan is available at left tackle, maybe you move Braxton Jones inside. I don't know. I mean, there's some changes that you could potentially do, but the encouraging part was that they also recognized that they weren't using Roshan Johnson. They put Roshan Johnson in the game. Roshan Johnson ran circles around DeAndre Swift. So, what you really are looking at right now is an $8 million waste of money. Because guess what? When it comes to receiving, let's go down the list here. Roshan Johnson has almost as many receptions right now as DeAndre Swift, which means that he is in one game capable of doing what DeAndre Swift has done in 3 games. And I hope that they're recognizing this. I hope that they're seeing what it is that they're doing, and they're going to put Roshan Johnson in there. They're going to give Khalil Herbert a little more opportunity. Like, I don't think that these guys have had a good opportunity, but I think that they're recognizing it and they're trying to do something with it, or at least, you know, giving it an opportunity. The pressure. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've got 7 sacks over 3 games, which means that we are on pace definitely to be a better team sacking than we were last year. And remember, we didn't have any interceptions in the first 4 games, and now we got a couple of interceptions going into it. So 4 interceptions in 3 games as well. So defensively, I feel like we're still doing pretty good. I feel like we're still there. The problem is that offense. Hopefully, we're going to get that worked out. We'll talk about that more tomorrow. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Remember to bear down. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that like button. And Green Bay, I'm not going to say anything right now, but y'all know what I mean. All right, guys, have a good day.